My educational background is architecture, and I received my degree in that, and pretty much, rather quickly decided that I'd like to be an architectural illustrator rather than an architect. The design side of it still interests me, but the going home and painting side of it interested me more back when I was beginning, and I've always sort of been comfortable, I think, painting and being by myself, and getting jobs done on my terms rather than as a part of a large group, and so that's maybe what drew me away from architecture or design. It's for many years I loved architectural illustration. It's just that after you do it for long enough, you can get the feeling that maybe you're more of a production line than an individual. And so as I started to come out of illustration and into fine art, I just loved the fact that there was nobody else telling me what I had to paint. I could choose any subject, I could paint it any way. There were absolutely no rules put on me, and that's just been incredible. My father's been a watercolorist my entire life, and he's still with us, so he's still a watercolorist. And I was always encouraged from an early age to draw, paint, as long as I didn't mess with his paints, and explore the medium. And the medium of the house was watercolor. And so, although I've done some dibbling and dabbling in other mediums, it's always been the one I felt most comfortable with, and I have always enjoyed it a bit more. I love the transparency. I like the kind of one-shot aspect you get. I like how easy it travels and how easy it cleans up. But most importantly, just the way that the paper breathes life to the pigment, and how that can make the final product glow in the way that it does. So I tend to use cobalt blue and burnt sienna or burnt orange quite a bit. I just like that color combination. I also like the grays that it makes. As far as subject matter, literally anything can grab my eye. I am naturally, within me, drawn to Scotland and the cities and landscapes there because that's where I'm from, although I do not sound like it. And there's always a bit of going home in that, and a feeling of comfort, we'll say, when I paint Scottish scenes. But that being said, I'm just as happy painting New York, the countryside of Alabama where I live, Istanbul, wherever I travel. So subject is basically what strikes me. There's so many tips and techniques that when you start to break them down and talk about, okay, what is your favorite thing, or what is the one thing that you couldn't do without, it gets almost impossible, I think, to choose one. I think a recurring technique that you'll find in my work is a variegated wash, where I'm taking either two different hues or two different temperatures of paint and mixing that, and then varying the tone with my well water to create a sort of changing and evolving glaze. And you'll see that I use that in almost every layer of my painting. Anytime I have a chance to change the value, I'll dip into the water. And if I start to feel something getting too cool, I'll add a warm. But if there's something signature, I think that's certainly one of them. That and the occasional splatter or doing some dry brush. What is a typical painting day? There are so few typical painting days for me. I'm either traveling for workshops, doing office work, and all the things. Being an artist means that you're running a business. So it's when I get what people might consider a typical painting day, it's usually something like a Saturday or Sunday where I know the phone's not going to ring. And I've told my wife, hey, let me have the day, and I'll stay in the studio all day long and with no interruption and just enjoy myself. Whether I create a good painting or not is beyond the point. I'm being allowed to do what I love without interruption. My studio is, well, I bought my house after seeing the studio, but we bought a fixer-upper, and by fixer-upper I mean tear it down and fix it back up. But there was this one room off the back that it was nothing but casement windows the whole way around. And I said and then it has a little side porch off of it. And I said, that's the studio. As it turns out, it's the hottest room in the summer, the coldest room in the winter. I'm constantly battling the sun because of the amount of windows in there. So I've got really good blinds that go up and down, and I just sort of follow the sun as it goes and block that, and then make sure I have a lot of daylight bulbs to counter that. So it's a place that's mine, and it's my sort of place of refuge, but it's also, funnily, if we have parties or anything like that and guests over, it's where people end up dancing and the music goes on. So it's a gathering space that I'm kind of proud of, and I enjoy sharing with others as well.